what were you saying about the?
Anyway, we're from the Lumbi tribe out of Robeson County, North Carolina, which consists of about 6 or 7 towns. There's not a reservation. There's just communities. But anyway, I grew up as a little boy, on the farm, and I guess you wouldn't say we were slaves, but we were close to, because we worked for almost nothing. When I was a little boy, we cropped tobacco and picked cotton for $2 for 100 pounds.
Good Lord.
We work all day long and for like $2 a day. But we grew up and we lived on the white man's farm. And it was like when he said, "Let's go," you had to go. Because my father would always say, "Let's go, boys. He'll kick us off this farm and we're going to have to find some other place to live." And the homes we lived in was absolutely terrible. I mean, we lived in homes that was like barns. We would put water buckets all over the house, when it rained, to keep the beds from getting wet. We'd put out water buckets. But we grew up, all my childhood life, that kind of an experience of the way we lived. But it was a pretty tough life.
$2, 100 pounds of cotton.
100 pounds of cotton, which would take you all day to pick. But we hold it, Jim. But we had a pretty rough time growing up. Back in the 50s.
So what would that be, like $20 for 100 pounds of cotton nowadays? If you adjusted the price?
No, it'd probably be more like $120 a day or $100 a day. Yeah, because most people make at least $100 a day.
That's still a lot of cotton, though. 100 pounds of cotton is a lot, because cotton is light.
It's light. You would put it in sheets. They'd spread out sheets. And me and my family, when we picked, you'd pick it in a sack that you kind of drug behind you. When you filled up the sack, you would take it and empty the sack in the sheet. When you filled up the sheet, you tied it up. But you would have 200 pounds of cotton, at least, probably 300 pounds of cotton in a sheet.
You pretty much do the exact same work as slaves.
Yeah, we worked. I used to think we were just like slaves. I mean, back in the slavery days, because we worked for almost nothing. You lived on that farm and you had to do whatever the landlord say do. I mean,
Incredible. And that's what you don't get to hear in school.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a reservation, you said?
No, we just had communities,
And everyone in the community did that job, right?
Do what now?
Everyone in your community did that job.
Oh yeah. Everybody done that type work.
So your community was set up to work for those cotton planters, more or less.
Oh yeah.
So that's just the way they kept doing slavery without doing slavery.
Yeah. Pay you just a little money. Pay you just a little bit of money to work every day, and it was basically the same thing. Back during slavery, they would feed you, but
just to survive.
Just to survive, but, just to work you. It was basically the same way for us. I mean, $2 a day was nothing. I remember in 1958. In 1958, we farmed and we had the biggest crop I have ever seen in cotton and tobacco. I mean, we had cotton. Never seen cotton that high before. We had cotton over 6 foot tall.
Wow.
The newspaper came out and they counted like 90 bowls of cotton. And a bowl is about this big, and it's kind of shaped like this. And then when it opens up, it starts to bloom out like this, and the cotton just kind of comes out. but anyway, we had cotton that year in 1958. So tall, you barely could see the mule's ears. You know, when you take the mule out there to pick the cotton. But anyway, that fall, the man came by and he told my father, he says, Mr. Dollar says, I'm sorry to tell you this. You made absolutely no money this year. As a matter of fact, you still owe for fertilizer.
Good.
And
So
with the massive crop we had, he said we made no money. My father got so mad, he went in the house and got the shotgun. Just look. But he went in the house and got the shotgun, and the guy was rushing out. Well, my father told him, he says, I'll kill you. He said, he told him he was alive. And he says, I'll get my gun and I'll kill you. But anyway, the guy started pulling out when he did. My father was shooting at him with the shotgun. So anyway, that afternoon, late that afternoon, a sheriff came out and told us we had 24 hours to get off the farm. 24 hours. So the next morning, I think my father went over to the next farm, and the guy let us move on to his farm. And man, let me tell you, we picked cotton in November to buy shoes where we could go to school.
So you didn't have no shoes when you was picking cotton?
Well, we didn't have no shoes when we were picking cotton.
In November?
In November. But
in North Carolina?
We picked cotton, and by November in 1958, it was getting cold. We picked.
Oh yeah, it's November.
We picked in the morning. Dew was on the cotton, which turned to ice. We picked with ice on the cotton. Yeah. But now that was the roughest year I remember.
So, but I'm sure the two cotton owning farmers knew each other and knew that you were going to go probably to them, and they probably worked this out.
Maybe. I don't know.
You don't know, but you know.
Yeah. It's possible, you know.
Because where else would you have went?
Yeah.
What other skills did they have?
There was nowhere we knew to go, but like I said, and back then we didn't have a car. My father and mother went to town, you know, like to buy groceries. They went on the mule and wagon. Seriously, they went on the mule.
In 1958?
1958. We didn't have a car. We didn't have a car until like we didn't have electricity in the homes I lived in until like 1964.
Then your family's poorer than my family, my mom's family.
We were poor. Seriously, we were the poorest people that we knew. We were poor.
You guys probably one of the poorest people in America.
Yeah, at that time.
The poorest employed people in America. Who else?
Hey, it was tough though.
So you say you were Lumbi?
Yeah.
How you like being around all this Lumbi stuff? Lumbi Next Generation? What's your son's name?
Jeremy.
Jeremy, how you like being around all this? What do you think about all this stuff?
Oh, well, it's good for him. He's alive for the day.
He likes it?
Yeah. I enjoy it. Yeah. Right. He loves the powwows. Yeah.
Did you do the dancing?
No.
You don't want to do that?
I did when I was younger, but I just kind of grew out of it.
How you grew out of it? It don't make sense. Because I saw people in their 70s.
Well, for one thing, he's got to help sell jewelry.
Oh, that's the one. Well, that's a good excuse.
Yeah, he's got, you know. That's one reason, you know, the children didn't dance, because, you know, you needed to help sell jewelry and set everything up, and it takes a lot of time.
So what got you and your family out of poverty? What was the first thing you think?
You know what? It's amazing. It's amazing the way it changed from 1950 until 1970. It was just incredible. People, but back in the 50s, you know, not a lot of people went to school because they had to work the way I just got telling you, they had to work. But in the 50s, people just had to work like slaves, and then by the 70s, people got off the farm and they got into construction. My father started doing construction